Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Breakfast Club here on WEKR and WYTM. Thank you for tuning in on this Tuesday morning of the last Tuesday of the month. We always have our CEO, General Manager Britt here with us on the Breakfast Club and on Fayetteville Public Utilities Channel 6. Britt, this is one of the only programs we're running on Channel 6 right now, our in-house stuff.
That's correct, Don. We got all of our guidelines we got to meet and going to open up a little bit next week.
Yep, and one thing about that is this has been some crazy times. You've been around here over 40 years, and no one's seen anything like what we've been through and what we're continuing to go through.
No, that's correct. And I hope we don't see it again, but who knows, right?
Be glad when it gets on out of here. We have been going through where probably the first time since you've worked here, probably the first time since the onset of having an electric company and utilities is the doors have been closed.
Doors have been closed to the lobby, but everything else, we've been operating as normal on the outside operations. But as I said a while ago, we hope to open next week on June the 1st with strict guidelines as customers come in through both sides on engineering and customer service. And we'll see how it goes. And, if it picks up or gets worse, we'll go back and close back down again.
We have to be very careful. We're going to have the lobby set up to where people can distance themselves as they're in line. We still want to encourage people to do all the business they can through the drive-through if we can.
Or online, either one.
That's right. And there's all kinds of ways to do that, from Smart Hub to Secure Pay, our website. All that information's there. And so it only protects us and also protects the customer as well.
That's right. We're looking out, for the health of both, employees and as with the customers as well. And we don't want anybody to get sick or take a chance, but we have those that need to come in and talk to and make arrangements and those kinds of things. And starting June the 1st, you'll be able to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned arrangements, the LIHEAP program with South Central Human Resources.
Yes, they will help, the best they can if you meet the qualifications and what's required on their part to help pay the utility bills. So I would advise you to try to contact them. TVA is supporting FPU with us on, through the LIHEAP program to make it a very successful program for you to help.
Because a lot of people have had some hard times. A lot of people have losing jobs and things like that. So we want to work with them every way we can.
We're going to work with them every way we can, and we'll make payments, out several months, but we can only do so much, and but we will help all we can.
Absolutely. One thing too, as you mentioned. Our offices have been closed, but our work has to continue and will continue. We have an obligation to the public to give the services of the utilities. Our line crew have been busy with pole changes, and that's caused a few outages here and there.
Now that it has. We've been converting also down in the Blanche area, Scotts Orchard Road, and down around the further parts, further than Blanche and those kinds of things. But, work's got to continue. We've been trying to do that on staggered shifts, and we still got the work accomplished, still got a lot of work to do, but everybody will start back same time again on June 1st. And, we'll see how it plays out. If we have to go back and make changes, we will.
Yep, and that's something you have to monitor every day. And you mentioned some of our employees have been coming in early and staggering shifts to keep people. We're actually trying to keep distances between each other in the building as well.
That's correct. We're still following the guidelines. Everybody will be having temperature checks and, those things with the proper PPE as the customer service come in. With those folks too, and we'll have stickers on the floor and tables in front of desk, and have protection between the customer and the employee to be sure everything's good there. So it's going to be a little different, but it might be the new norm. So who knows?
That's true. We already have glass in front of many areas, but we also have them at desk as well. So again, for the customer side, if you have to come in, it actually protects you, and it also protects our people. And one thing you've talked about here, in a utility, small utility like us with 100 or so employees, the last thing you want is COVID to get in here, because it would really cause us some serious problems.
It would cause very serious problems, and I can't even imagine trying to get everybody tested and staff be at home and can't even open up for business. So and we don't want that to happen.
And you've done good trying to make sure that we are protected, taken care of. We have a lot of hand sanitizer throughout the building, and personal protective equipment for our employees, unlike any other protective equipment that we've had to use in the history.
That's correct. It's not only the CDC guidelines. FPU's got their guidelines too that we sent out several months ago. When this first started happening. So it's got to be in place. It's been put in place. It's very, very strict, and we expect every employee to follow the guidelines, from the CDC and the FPU's guidelines of what's required of you as an employee to be sure that everybody's protected.
One thing that we've done in the last couple of years is continuing to ramp up our tree trimming efforts, and we've got this new piece of equipment called a giraffe. You might talk a little bit about that.
Well, the giraffe is a all-terrain machine. It's on tracks. It's got a 70 to 75-foot reach, of how it can trim trees actually on the overhangs, or if you got some danger trees to some degree. And we got some operators that's training on it now, and so far they're getting better every day. And we got to be more aggressive on the tree trimming maintenance right-of-way program that we have. It's got a lot of rain. It's been a big growing season for trees.
And the trees are growing. I mean, from year to year, it's just amazing. And, of course, that causes utilities problems.
It does, and here lately that's what we've been having is tree problems and wind. And, the ground's so saturated with all the moisture, and we have danger trees that could be out of the right-of-way that could fall and slap the line together and those kinds of things. But, lightning, it's been doing a pretty good job too.
Oh, yeah. Well, another thing, if you're around the city here anywhere, you'll see contractors doing some utility work. I'm assuming sewer work. I'm not sure what all they're doing, where all they're located, but they're doing a lot of work.
We have been doing some sewer rehab on the east part of the town here and by LTS, and right now they have pulled out. We got some more areas we have to work on, and we're fixing to have a meeting with the next area that we're moving to. So we still are trying to borrow funds from SRF. We got some big water projects coming up before long, and the state's been kind of slowed down a little bit as well. So we're trying to communicate with them, see if we can get things cranked back up on the SRF funding side.
Yeah, you got a lot going on over at the water department too. We have good quality drinking water, but those guys over there are learning every day, and again, it's a real nice system that we have over there.
It is, and we got a young group over there. They're young and they're learning, and glad to have them. And David does an excellent job out there, him and Lee, and with the new employees and the wastewater on the same. Dwight does a great job, him and Eric Dale, with Todd and all those folks at that department. But they're all staying very busy and being careful, but also at the same time, we have to watch everything that we do.
Yeah, and we, as we take water out of the Elk River and then send it to the homes, it goes through a lot of processing, and you can pick up the water quality report here at the office or online and see what all goes into it, and it's a pretty detailed report.
That it is. It's what's required by TDEC and EPA and those kinds of folks, so we have to be sure we meet all those guidelines.
All right, let's see here. I want to tell everybody a little bit about our last week. We partnered with the city, with Whitney Browning Photography and TVA. You might talk a little bit about what we did with that.
We did. We all made donations to reach $10,000, and TVA matched another $10,000, and it was a total of $20,000 that we were able to donate to the Hands of Mercy.
Oh, yeah. That Hands of Mercy is a very fine program that also helps people in need, and it's a good thing, and we're proud we were able to work with them to help them out like that.
That's correct. We checked with TVA to see what all we could do to see if they could help us out some, and after a long conversation with those people at TVA, and matter of fact, they're coming up with another program to, you got the food pantry that comes up later on this year, but I think they're going to give an additional $2,000 before that time.
Oh yeah, is that, I think I'm not sure, but isn't that in October? I think that's when it was October. So that's good. All right, one more thing. We want to, as we was talking about the crews on the road, we definitely want to tell everybody to move over, because there's a lot of people around town, a lot of people, our crews too, as well, doing pole changes. So we want everybody to move over.
Absolutely. It's very, very important to do that. Before long, we'll be starting a major job on the Huntsville Highway once we get the material in, and we'll be out there once that project gets started, and it'll be every day that, we'll be on that major highway. And please do move over and abide by the law and protect us as much as you can. And we'll have all the signs out and flashing lights and those kinds of things, but we found out that people run through them too. So, pay attention.
Please pay attention and watch out for our guys. And you never know. I mean, you could be out there, and it don't matter who's out there. We want everybody to move over. One thing we want to tell everybody, the southwestern portion of Lincoln County, we're going to be getting internet out there in the next year or so. You might talk about that process and where we're at now, what's moving forward.
Well, we're waiting on the design. We have to do a design and those kinds of things, which we had a preliminary, to apply for the grant. But we'll be moving in that direction, and we're also bidding on some other areas that through a different application process, and we're just getting started on that. And maybe we can start expanding more out into the different parts of the county, but time will tell on what's actually out there that you can get some funding.
How many times have you heard, when you going to get internet out our way?
Every day. I even say it myself.
You do? Well, the thing is, it's coming. Hey, that's the thing. We're working on it. It's just going to take some time. Well, one thing we might mention, too, we went to the southwestern portion of Lincoln County because we're not really wanting to get into other people's area, I guess.
Well, you can't go into other people that is served by another provider.
I got
Not with the state fund. Now, if we were funding it ourselves or customers purchasing the service, we could do that. But when you're going through grants and those kinds of things, they're very particular about you moving into another area that's served by another provider.
And we keep an eye on grants and things like that all the time, not only just in the telecom side, throughout the entire company. And that's a pretty full-time job too, isn't it?
It's a full-time job, but, anytime you can get some, at least if it's not free money, you can get some low-interest money. And, we try to take advantage of that as much as we can.
Absolutely. Well, you've been here through the onset of telecom, and you've seen it change from just a cable plant to basically turning into an all-fiber plant, and that is slowly, but it's coming. And these new areas, it'll be all fiber.
It's all fiber in the new areas now. We went into the telecom business back in 1999, and it's like anything else, as your system grows, it demands more. Broadband, cable, those kinds of things is a thing in the past, and you got to get ready to change that plant to fiber. And our plant, the years of service that it's been in, it's time to start looking at redoing all the cable plant actually inside town, going from a coax to a fiber.
And when you think about fiber in general, you yourself, the customer's looking at it as though they're going to get internet, but what you're seeing is you are trying your best to tie it to just about everything we've got, from water towers to substations.
Well, we have the water tanks all on the SCADA system through fiber. We have lift stations. We got pump stations, and now as we progressively, move along, hooking up all the types of different equipment on the electric side, out in the fields with the breakers, it's hanging on line. It gives us a faster report of actually what we can control. So it does a lot, like our capacitors, all those regulators, any type of piece of equipment that we are passing, we're trying to get it hooked up so we can get it back in there on the SCADA system.
Wow. Well, fiber is the thing of the future, and it's here, and we're doing our best to get connected, stay connected, and it's a pretty good system, isn't it?
The fiber is a great system. Plus, we're tying some of it in with our AMI metering, so
that's right.
it's all paying off.
Wow, yeah. Technology is a crazy thing. It's hard to imagine where we've been and where we are today.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You got anything else before we go?
No, that's all I have. I hope everybody stays safe and healthy, and I hope everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend, and so we'll just keep moving forward.
That's right, and we'll keep you informed if anything changes. We'll be on the radio. We appreciate the radio stations getting us on the air, and when we have things to get out there, and we appreciate having this once a month Breakfast Club Newsmakers here on WEKR and WYTM. And on FPU Channel 6. We've had our CEO, General Manager Britt. He's been our guest this morning, and we appreciate him taking the time to swing by here and say hello in the studio. And we will see you back in here next month for another edition of the Breakfast Club Newsmakers.